Good day and welcome to the dining room table. U.S. President Biden and South Korean President Yoon issues joint statement at the White House. Let's hear what they have to say.
Please be seated. Well, Mr. President, it's good to see you again, my friend. We've met several times over the last year, and each time we have deepened our nation's partnership and for the benefit, I think, of both our peoples. Today's no exception. Our nation's relationship has been a great success story. The alliance formed in war and has flourished in peace. Seemingly every day, we've launched new areas of cooperation on cyber, strategic technologies, space, democracy, and all the areas that matter most to our future. Because of its core, our alliance is about building a better future for all of our people. And there's no better example than our economic relationship and partnership, which is delivering incredible benefits to both our nations. Through the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, we're advancing economic growth grounded in high standards for our workers, for the environment, and for communities throughout the region. We're standing together against economic influence being leveraged in coercive ways. And since I took office, Korean companies have invested more than $100 billion in the United States, driving innovation and spurring good new jobs for Americans and Korean workers. Our mutual defense treaty is ironclad, and that includes our commitment to extended deterrence, and that includes the nuclear threat and the nuclear deterrent. They're particularly important in the face of DPRK's increased threats and a blatant violation of U.S. sanctions. At the same time, we continue to seek serious and substantial diplomatic breakthroughs with the DPRK to bolster stability on the peninsula, reduce the threat of proliferation, and address our humanitarian and human rights concerns for the people of the DPRK. The Republic of Korea and the United States are working together, including through our trilateral cooperation with Japan, to ensure the future of the Indo-Pacific is free, is open, prosperous, and secure. I want to thank you again, Mr. President, for your political courage and personal commitment to diplomacy with Japan. I've worked on these issues for a long time, and I can tell you it makes an enormous difference when we all pull together. I also welcome and support your administration's new Indo-Pacific strategy. It's a strategy that affirms how aligned our two nations are and our visions of the region and how similar they are. Today, we discussed our work together on promoting peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits, ensuring freedom of navigation in the South China Sea and beyond. Excuse me. I also affirmed our shared commitment. We together shared our firm shared commitment to stand with the people of Ukraine against Russia's brutal assault on their freedom, their territorial integrity, and democracy. The Republic of Korea's strong support for Ukraine is important because Russia's flagrant violation of international law matters to nations everywhere in the world, not just in Europe. When it comes right down to it, it's about what you believe, what you stand for, what kind of future you want for your children and grandchildren. And right now, I believe the world's at an inflection point. The choices we make today, I believe, are going to determine the direction of our world and the future of our kids for decades to come. That's why this partnership is so important, Mr. President, because we share the same values, the same vision. And I greatly appreciate, Mr. President, that the Republic of Korea co-chaired the second Summit on Democracies last month, and they will host the third Summit for Democracies. We both understand that our democracies and our people are our greatest source of strength, and working together, they make our nation stronger and more effective. From tracking the climate crisis and strengthening our effort to fight it and strengthening global health, no two countries are better suited to meet the challenges ahead than the Republic of Korea and the United States. I want to thank you again, Mr. President, for your friendship, your partnership, and all you've done to help build a future of shared strength and success. The floor is yours, Mr. President.
President Biden, thank you for your special and warm hospitality. I am very pleased to be making a state visit to the United States during this meaningful year that marks the 70th anniversary of the ROC US alliance. Our two countries have overcome challenges and crises during the past 70 years based on the deep roots of freedom and democracy, building a value alliance that is strong, resilient, and sustainable. We are now being threatened by an unprecedented polycrisis. The ROC US alliance is jointly overcoming this crisis, also coming from North Korea, as a righteous alliance that contributes to world peace and prosperity. We will further expand the depth and denotation of the ROC US Global Comprehensive Strategic Partnership and march forward to the future. Today, President Biden and myself engaged in constructive dialogue to discuss ways to materialize this shared vision. The outcome of our dialogue is well outlined in the joint statement adopted today. The first key outcome is extended deterrence. Sustainable peace on the Korean Peninsula does not happen automatically. Our two leaders have decided to significantly strengthen extended deterrence of our two countries against North Korea's nuclear and missile threats so that we can achieve peace through the superiority of overwhelming forces and not a false peace based on the goodwill of the other side. Such a will and commitment is captured in the Washington Declaration. President Biden has reaffirmed his ironclad commitment to extended deterrence towards the Republic of Korea. Our two countries have agreed to immediate bilateral presidential consultations in the event of North Korea's nuclear attack and promise to respond swiftly, overwhelmingly, and decisively using the full force of the alliance, including the United States nuclear weapons. Our two countries have agreed to establish a nuclear consultative group to map out a specific plan to operate the new extended deterrence system. Now, our two countries will share information on nuclear and strategic weapon operations plans in response to North Korea's provocations and have regular consultations on ways to plan and execute joint operations that combine Korea's state of the art conventional forces with the US's nuclear capabilities, the results of which will be reported to the leaders of our two countries on a regular basis. In addition, our two countries have agreed to further advance tabletop exercises against a potential nuclear crisis. In addition, deployment of the United States strategic assets to the Korean Peninsula will be made constantly and routinely. President Biden and I will continue to cooperate to strengthen extended deterrence between our two countries based on our historical and concrete agreement reached during our summit. Second, our two leaders have agreed to further strengthen the strategic partnership in economic security, which is directly related to the national economies of our two countries. President Biden and I welcomed the expansion of our firm's bilateral mutual investment in advanced technology, including semiconductors, electric vehicles, and batteries. President Biden has said that no special support and considerations will be spared for Korean companies' investment and business activities in particular. We have agreed to consult and coordinate closely so that the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS and Science Act can further strengthen supply chain cooperations between the two countries in advanced technology.
있습니다.
Furthermore, we plan on ramping up partnerships in cutting edge technology. We have agreed to establish a dialogue for next generation emerging and core technology between the U.S. National Security Council and the Korea Office of National Security pertaining to chips, batteries, biotechnology, quantum science, and other cutting-edge technologies with the aim of promoting joint R&D and experts exchange. We have also adopted a separate joint statement for strengthening cooperation in the rapidly emerging quantum science and technology domain. President Biden and I have also agreed to get the ball rolling on discussions about expanding our alliance into cyber and space by applying the Mutual Defense Treaty in cyberspace and space as well. We have also agreed that the strategic cybersecurity cooperation framework adopted this time around will serve as the foundation on which we address cyber threats together and boost cooperation in information sharing, collection, and analysis. Space is another area that shows great promise for cooperation between our two countries. During my time here, I was able to visit the NASA Goddard Space Center. President Biden welcomed the establishment of CASA, and we have agreed to promote cooperation between CASA and NASA. We have also agreed to accelerate discussions on reaching a reciprocal defense procurement agreement, which is equivalent to an FTA in terms of national defense. Meanwhile, President Biden and I have agreed to promote exchange between the future generations of our two countries. To this end, we have launched the US ROK Special Exchange Initiative for Youths. In celebration of the 70th anniversary of the ROC US Alliance this year, our two countries plan to invest a total of $60 million to support exchanges between 2,023 youths majoring in STEM, humanities, and social sciences. This also includes the largest Fulbright program to date, which will provide scholarships for 200 students. Last but not least, President Biden and I have agreed that South Korea and the United States, as key partners in achieving stability and building peace in the Indo-Pacific region, will put our heads together as we implement our Indo-Pacific strategies to strengthen our cooperation in addressing regional and global challenges. In particular, President Biden expressed strong support for efforts made by the Korean government to normalize Korea-Japan relations. And we have agreed to continue our efforts in strengthening Korea-US-Japan trilateral cooperation. Furthermore, we reaffirmed that the use of force to take the lives of innocent people, an example of which would be Russia's invasion of Ukraine, can in no circumstances whatsoever be justified. In that sense, we agreed to continue our cooperation and efforts alongside the international community to support Ukraine. During this meeting, we also discussed plans through which our two countries can take a leadership role in addressing global challenges such as climate change, international development, and energy and food security. I am delighted that through today's meeting, we've opened up a new chapter for the next 70 years of the ROC US Alliance. I hope President Biden and I, with the support of people in our two countries, can fully deliver on the blueprint that we have mapped out today with the aim of our founded in the reaffirmation of the value of freedom and our universal values. Thank you.